Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. What I wanted to talk about today was the really bad side of Black Butler, but I am going to go through the good side of it. There are really good sides of it, but I'm really mainly going to talk about the really bad part of the fandom, mostly, because from what I seen as a teen and what I watched as a kid, it made me realize what the fuck. It made me realize how really disgusting the fandom is. It's really bad. I'm just saying. Fandoms can get toxic. This is a fact of life, but not every fandom is toxic in the same way. So in this series, I have decided to research the most notoriously toxic fandoms to discover just where things went wrong, and maybe how things can get better in the future. By the way, these are not my words. I'm reading from a blog from a world press journalist on Google, by the way. So, it's because I couldn't find any other sources that could agree with my argument, what I'm trying to say about how controversial the anime/manga is. Today, I decided to examine the fandom for the widely popular and my personally reviled anime, Black Butler, the story of a Victorian English boy who sold his soul to a demon. Unlike the others, I can understand some of the hatred for this anime's fandom, mostly when it comes to the shipping, but to make sure I understand, I looked again to the RPG manga for some insight. But according to the RPG manga, while this disagreement has grown into all-out war that has fought on Tumblr and on Black Butler's wiki pages for the past 5 years, a bigger problem has come from Fujoshis, female fans who love homoerotic relationships, who ship Ciel and Sebastian. Ciel is 13 years old, Sebastian is a demon who has been around since the beginning. Need I say more? Unfortunately for this fandom, that is not an outlier. The RPG manga says that many ships within this fandom are pedophilic in nature. To make matters worse, whenever people point out that the shippers tear them apart, they even go as far as to tear apart Lizzie. Now, if you haven't watched the show, Lizzie is Ciel's love interest, and the ship that they carry out in the show, it's not sexual, it's nothing disgusting, it's actually cute and wholesome, in my opinion, but there are some conflicts between Ciel and Lizzie in the first season, because he tried to slap her in one scene, but Sebastian obviously stopped him. But since the Fuyoshi fans don't like it, they don't like the ship, they tried to tear apart the ship because they're claiming she's getting in the way of the Sebastian and Ciel ship, which is weird. Sadly, the Fuyoshis went another step further. The RPG manga says that whenever the creator wrote a certain plot twist, she was attacked with the death threats from many shippers. Oh, Jesus. Now, it's not, this happened before with another show when the creator didn't make a certain popular ship canon. They were sent death threats by the shippers, and I think you know which fandom I'm talking about. Speaking of the fangirls, Sebastian has plenty of them, and while there are plenty of normal fangirls, there are others who think of Sebastian as their boyfriend and will attack anyone who draws him with one of their OCs. Wow. So yeah, there was a scene in Book of Circus where Ciel was forced into a PTSD attack, and he was I think the scene was the most traumatizing for Ciel because he was remembering that day where he was kidnapped by those men and those cultists, and he was being tortured by them, and it brought back so many terrible memories, and it brought him into a panic attack, a really bad panic attack. And this scene was, I don't know, fans were just making this scene sexual and shit, and it was disgusting, honestly. This scene doesn't even show anything that way. It just shows Sebastian being manipulative, like always, towards the kid, because he is being manipulative. Like I said, if you look deeper into Sebastian in the manga, he's an evil person. And if you want to know something about demons and signing a contract with them and selling your soul, there's a price to pay. Your soul is basically theirs. After when you're dead, you're screwed. So that's basically what Ciel is. After when Ciel dies, basically Sebastian eats his soul, and it's nothing weird. He just eats his soul like a demon would, because demons are monsters. I used to think that maybe Sebastian saw him as a son, maybe, but no. Sebastian just sees him as a meal. He just sees him as food, which, yeah. And it goes for season 2 when other characters get introduced, like Alois Trancy and Claude, whatever his last name was, and Hannah. Oh my god, I loved Hannah. But the fandom started to ship, you guessed it, Alois and Claude. I don't know why. They started shipping the two butlers with each other, which is, I don't know what to say about that, honestly. I mean, they're both grown men, so And yeah, they started shipping the Alois and Ciel with each other as well, which I don't know what to say about that. They're both children, but make it wholesome at least, not disturbing. But you know, it's the Black Butler fandom. They'll turn anything wholesome into something disturbing, or they'll turn something disturbing into something that's romanticizing it. If you get what I mean, they romanticize the disturbing part. In which, what I'm gonna say about when they romanticize a disturbing part is a certain scene in the same movie, Book of Circus. They made something again turned something disturbing into something sexual. Once again, there was a scene where Sebastian was quote unquote interrogating a woman by the name of Beast, and the whole scene was just so uncomfortable to watch. When I was a teenager, it was just disturbing. I don't know what else to say about it other than disturbing. It's just creepy, and the fandom on Tumblr ate that shit up. It's literally another one of the other reasons why Sebastian is not a great character. Because when I meant by he interrogated her, he essayed her. I'm just now looking at this article, and it's not a movie, it's a show. So, it's a show that's separated. I think it's like a special, because they have other specials like the Book of Atlantic and Book of Murder, I think. But I am going to be reading part of this article once again to how they described how the fangirls reacted to this scene. I'm not going to show this scene because I don't want to make y'all uncomfortable, because it's bad. It's really bad. With Black Butler returning to the forefront of anime with this release, this meant the inevitable rise in fandom attention and Tumblr circulation. And while I genuinely find the fans of this franchise to be relatively tolerable, there was something that continued to eat away at me as I scrolled through the tag. There is a particular scene during the 43rd episode, His Butler License, wherein the most popular character of the series, Sebastian Michaelis, interrogates Beast, a female member of the circus, in order to retrieve information in regards to the identity of the patron of the circus. There's a similar scene during the very first season involving Sebastian's seduction a very willing nun as a mean of obtaining information, but this moment in the third season depicts something much darker, and the fan response to it is sickening. The interaction between Beast and Sebastian is actually quite brief, but it leaves a startlingly awful takes in the mouths of the viewers. Sebastian appears just after Beast has denied by Joker, the subject of her affection. Playing on her vulnerability, Sebastian materialized behind Beast, and after verbally accosting her, proceeded to grab her without her permission and haul her body against his own. Cue the fangirl swoons, right? No, not even a little. Does that look like the face of a woman that is consenting? And more importantly, is this the kind of image that women should believe to be acceptable when it comes to the way that they're treated? While this scene definitely made my skin crawl, I understand why it's in the show. Given Sebastian's status as a demon, it is perfectly reasonable to believe that he wouldn't care about consent, and that works for his character. I don't begrudge Yana Taboso for creating this scene because it makes sense, and it maintains the tone of the show and original creation of Sebastian's character. In fact, I would go as far as to praise the inclusion of this scene because it isn't making the attempt to promote Sebastian in a positive manner. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about the scene where he did do that to the nun, and I remember the fangirls' reactions to that. They were romanticizing it and shit, and I'm like, why? Why would you romanticize a nun and a demon? That is something that should not be romanticized! What I do find fault with are the ways fans have responded to the show. I cannot believe the drastically high amount of female fans that are falling over themselves because of the scene, claiming it to be one of the sexiest in anime. I liken these women to that of the Diabolical Lovers fan base, and that they seem to want to defend characters that are sexually assaulting women due to the fact that the fictional men are aesthetically pleasing. Additionally, attitudes like this are often coupled with hatred towards female characters such as Beast, who are little victims of abuse. This is an example of early onset support of victim shaming, and it's becoming harder and harder to tolerate. Also, to jump back on the weird Sebastian ship, there was another scene that was in, I think, season 1 that threw a lot of people off, and it threw me off as well. It was the corset scene. It was that episode where Ciel basically went undercover as a girl to basically catch this kidnapper who auctioned girls. And there was a scene where Sebastian was helping Ciel put on the corset, and it was too tight on him, and he was saying, "Sebastian, you're killing me. This is too tight on me." And the way the fandom reacted to this scene is quite disgusting, if I say. All I looked up and it was saying the Black Butler corset scene is widely considered by many viewers to be controversial, uncomfortable, or disgusting due to its highly suggestive and homoerotic overtones involving the 12-year-old main character, Ciel Vantemhive. This scene, which appears in the first episode of the anime and has a counterpart in the manga, is frequently cited in discussion about the anime's controversial fan service in pandering to a specific audience, known as Fuyoshi. People's responses to the fans were saying that they were sexualizing a minor. The primary concern for many viewers is the perceived sexualization of Ciel, a 12-year-old character in an intimate scenario with an adult character. Another one is implied non-sexual dynamics. The power dynamic between Ciel, a young master, and Sebastian, a demon bound by a contract, adds a layer of discomfort, as Ciel is visibly flustered and uncomfortable during the scene, which is played for a form of dark humor or character tension. That, in the creator's known style, the manga's creator Yana Taboso is known for including Shotacon, and yaoi elements in her works, which some fans feel is underlying motivation for such scenes, making them feel intentional rather than accidental. While the series is categorized as dark fantasy and shonen, this specific scene's focus on suggestive, intimate context feels out of place and jarring for viewers expecting a more standard, plot-driven narrative. Due to the scene's content, many fans on forums like Reddit and Tumblr have discussed their discomfort with some avoiding the show or fast-forwarding through the scene, particularly if watching with family or younger siblings. So yeah, I think a lot of people showed a lot of concern for this scene and the creator's intentions for scenes like this. And I get that maybe this scene was trying to make like something funny, like it's a joke and all that, but I don't see anything funny about whatever the fuck that scene was. Now, there are people on Reddit defending the Sebastião ship and all that, because I don't know why. Why are you defending this ship? It shouldn't be defended. With how they defend it, they're saying, oh, they're just fictional characters, they're not real, so who cares? Or they'll say this whole fandom started because of Sebastião, and it's like, why did it started to become a fandom as a whole because of that ship? Why? And if you're a grown-ass person defending all this, I'm gonna question you like there's no other. Because why would you defend this? Or they'll blame it on but there's kids in the fandom that are doing this, but there's grown-ass people doing it as well. Like, what? You have to be the most delusional person if you think it's only teens that are watching Black Butler and is doing this type of shit. No. When I was doing my weird role-playing days on Instagram, I literally seen it with my own eyes, people having their age up to 20-something years old in their bio and shipping Sebastian and CL like it's normal. Or I saw a Reddit comment comparing this ship to Sam and Dean, which is, why are you comparing them to? Is it Sam and Dean? Aren't they brothers? Why are you shipping brothers? Speaking of shipping brothers, for my next video, I think I'm going to talk about the toxic fandom of diabolic lovers, because it's a really big mess, and yeah. But I think I want to bring out the positive side to the show and its creativity. The visuals for the openings, they're really storytelling, they're really nice to look at. It's just really beautiful, in my opinion. A lot of people say they didn't like Season 2, but I have never seen Season 2. I only watched Season 1 in the Book of Circus and all that. And it's been, I don't know how many years since I've been interested in Black Butler in the fandom. I think I've departed from the fandom since 2019. Or it was 2020 when I started to like anime a little bit more. I think my number one favorite scene is this one, when Lizzie actually showed the real her, and instead of putting on this I'm adorable facade just for CL, but I really like this scene. It showed how it just brought a new character arc for Lizzie, and how she's always so vulnerable, so how they played her as the damsel in distress in the anime, but this scene just showed the real her and how she's not afraid to show that she's a fighter. I also loved the characters and their different personalities and all that, and I loved how humorous the show actually was. It had really great storylines and plots for each episode, and it was just honestly great, but it has its flaws. I really loved Grell Sutcliffe's new character design for him with the red hair. It really suits his character very better than his old design. I loved Sebastian's obsession with cats, to the point he tried to pet a tiger, which was a really funny scene where the tiger literally chomped at his face and he didn't even care. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't watch the show, but I'm just saying the fandom is very toxic and disturbing, in my opinion. But I think I'm gonna to that, and I think for my next video, I'm gonna talk about the toxic fandom of diabolic lovers and all that, and how, I think that's pretty much all I gotta say. But if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Bye!